This Chat with the Experts is brought to you by Angie's List on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List. We are here today with Dave Adams of Alpine Maintenance Group, and we're talking all about air duct cleaning and even dryer vent cleaning. And we're going to get back into the chat here in just a few moments and ask Dave some of your listener questions and get you some answers when it comes to your air ducts and much more. But first, we want to share 3 things to consider when it comes to your air ducts. And your HVAC is your home's respiratory system, so keeping it clean and operating smoothly is vital to keeping both your system and your family healthy. And Angie's List recently put together a helpful infographic on the subject. It's titled Duct Tales, What You Need to Know About Keeping Your Air Ducts Clean. And first, the thing we learned is the best way to keep your air ducts clean is to change your air filters regularly. And we've talked about this on past shows relating to your home's heating and air conditioning systems, but it really can't be stressed enough. Your filter should be changed every 3 months or every 2 months if you have pets in the home. You can also check it periodically. If it looks dirty, well, guess what? It's time to swap it out. Ask your HVAC professional if you have any questions about how to handle that process on your own. Secondly, it's important to know why a dirty air filter can cause problems. And you may think, out of sight, out of mind, but that really shouldn't be the case. A dirty air filter can really slow down the airflow through your home. It's going to waste energy and cause your system to work overtime, which can eventually lead to system failure and thousands of dollars in repairs. Also, if you're allowing debris to build up in your air ducts, and we've already talked a little bit today about how harmful that can be. So it's really something to put a priority on addressing. Finally, if you're not sure if your air ducts are in bad shape, take a look for yourself. Dave mentioned this earlier. You can remove the vents on the floor and use a flashlight or your camera phone to get a better look down there. And if you're noticing large buildups of dust and pet hair, signs of rodents or pest infestations or even mold, it's time to take action. Replace your filter immediately and give a call to an air duct cleaning professional. You can check out all of this information, including that really cool infographic on ductwork and a whole lot more by going to angieslist.com/articles. It's our solutions center. We've got all kinds of great content there, including helpful articles, photo galleries, podcasts, videos, and much more. Again, angieslist.com/articles. Well, now it is time to take some questions from our listeners. It's called Consumers Ask, and each week here on the show, we turn to Facebook and Twitter and take some of the questions that you're asking and get you some answers right here on the show. We also pull questions from our online forum, answers.angieslist.com. And today, these folks have some questions about their home, and they're looking to Dave to get some answers. Dave, are you ready to help them out?
I'll do my best.
All right, let's start with a question from Maddie. She wants to know how to tell if she has enough insulation in her attic. And as I ask this, I should mention, in addition to all the services Alpine Group covers, one of them is insulation. So what do you think about Maddie's question?
The rule of thumb, we like to get people to R38. So R is the heat resistance. So it's the metric in which insulation is measured. Mm-hmm. R38 is roughly 14 inches of insulation. Okay, so pop your head into the attic. If you don't have 14 inches of insulation, you're probably under-insulated. Take a look at if you have any ductwork up in the attic and it's not covered, it needs to be insulated. Otherwise, you're just heating your attic. Yeah. Also, on a day like today where there might be some snow on the roof, if you're the home in the neighborhood that has no snow on your roof, it means your heat from the house is going into the attic and heating the roof deck and melting the snow.
Interesting.
You want to have snow on your roof.
Yeah, definitely. And we talked last week, actually, on the show about the danger of ice dams, and that boiled back down to insulation as well. So it's vitally important this time of year. One thing I wanted to ask Dave, with so many different insulation options out there, how do you know which type is going to be right for your home? Because there's a lot of different methods for putting the insulation in the attic on top of the actual insulation itself that you're getting put in. How do you know what's right? Okay,
so let's start with your existing insulation. If it's dry, if it's not been contaminated with rodents, it's still providing an R value, so you can keep it in there. Okay. So the question is, what do we add? You really have 3 options: foam insulation, cellulose insulation, and fiberglass. Okay. Foam insulation for most attics is not the best solution because it's more expensive. But however, if you have a walk-up attic and you want to condition the entire attic, you could insulate the roof deck, and that would be an appropriate application for foam. So it really leaves cellulose and fiberglass. So an R38 in cellulose is the same as an R38 in fiberglass. It's a metric. So as long as the R value is the same, you're going to have the same insulated value. We at Alpine Group, we use fiberglass. I was told in Indiana you want fluffy and not stuffy. We also do a lot of mold remediation, and cellulose by its nature, which is ground up newspaper, retains a lot of moisture.
Yeah.
The worst mold that I've seen in attics are generally those that have cellulose in them. So what we've decided is that we use Owens Corning fiberglass insulation.
Yeah, very good information. And just like air ducts, attics, not a place that homeowners are sticking their heads very often, but it is kind of important to know what's going on up there and if you've got the protection that you need. Speaking of insulation, Jeffrey wants to know if his crawl space should be insulated.
The crawl space should be insulated, but what is even more important is what are you doing with the vents? So if you have a vented crawl space, make absolutely sure that the vents are closed for the winter.
Yeah.
Okay. So when people talk about crawl space insulation, there's a lot of ways you can do it. Foam is a very good insulating choice for crawl spaces. I would just shy away from insulating the subfloor. We've seen a lot of mold issues with that. So try to insulate the envelope and not the subfloor underneath.
Yeah, and mold and moisture issues are a huge problem with the crawl space and something you definitely want to keep an eye on. We talked at the end of the last segment a little bit about dryer vent cleaning, and Jennifer's got a question for us here saying that her clothes are taking a little bit too long to dry and it's been getting worse progressively. Is that a sign that she might have an issue and need her dryer vents cleaned out? Well,
it could be, unless you do laundry like I do, because one time I had about 20 towels in the dryer and they weren't drying out, and my wife said I might want to take some of them out. Yeah. But as a rule of thumb, if it takes more than one cycle to dry your clothes, there is an obstruction in the dryer vent most likely.
Yeah, and as we talked about, if you think the only problem is that your clothes aren't getting dried, it can lead to a fire, so it's really important to address it. Now, does the age of the dryer itself make any difference? Are there newer dryer models that do a better job of not letting buildup happen in your dryer vents, or is it just all the same?
I think, as a matter of fact, I like the older ones better.
Oh, okay.
Less buttons to push, and they seem to the ducting is better. The newer ones, you don't have. In my experience, we have more trouble with those. But really, it's just clean the lint trap every time you do a load.
Yeah. And
clean your dryer vent once a year, and you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, excellent advice. Ted says that he and his wife are going to be expecting a baby soon. Should they have their air ducts cleaned out as a safety measure, even if they're not noticing any problems right now? What are your thoughts?
Well, if you're as paranoid as most new parents, I think it's a great way to spend your money. But realistically, look, when you are bringing a new baby in the home, you don't know if the baby's going to have asthma or any breathing problems. Mm-hmm. If the ducts haven't been cleaned in the past 3 to 5 years, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, if nothing else, then for the peace of mind. You talked a little bit earlier about some of the problems that can happen or that could even lead to your vents being having a need to be cleaned out more often, one of which was pets. And do you find that the more pets that are in the home, the more often you're going to want to have somebody checking out those air duct vents and making a cleaning?
Absolutely. We see a lot of pet hair, pet dander, cat hair. So if you have pets, quit sweeping the hair into the registers and get the vents cleaned.
No kidding. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Consumers Ask here on Chat with the Experts. As always, thank you to all of our listeners out there for supplying your questions. If you got one that you'd like for us to answer here on the show, find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, ask your questions there, or you can visit our online forum. It's answers.angieslist.com. Ask your question, and you may find it on this show. Dave, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today. We've really appreciated all this valuable advice.
Thank you very much, Kyle.
That's going to do it for Dave Adams of Alpine Maintenance Group. But we're not done with the show just yet. Don't get dusty-eyed. Coming up, we're going to welcome in Emily Udell of Angie's List Weekly, and we're going to talk about creating a healthier home in the new year and some steps that you can take to make some helpful changes in your life that'll make a difference around the home. Keep it right here. You're listening to Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List.
Angie's List believes that hiring great local service providers should be easy. Whether you need a plumber or a pet sitter, you can find one at angieslist.com. See ratings and reviews in hundreds of categories, shop popular offers, and request scheduling assistance directly online. Memberships start at just $9.99 per year. That's less than $1 a month. Join today and get 40% off with promo code WIBC40. Visit angieslist.com to sign up.